They say evil never truly dies. But what if the vampires of Salem's Lot didn't start in Maine at all? What if their curse began centuries earlier, hidden in the shadows of old Europe? Stephen King's Salem's Lot isn't just another vampire story. It's a dark reimagining of the Dracula myth. But beneath the quiet streets, the missing children, and the blue-skinned Nosferatu that haunts the town, lies something deeper, an origin that connects Salem's Lot to an ancient, blood-soaked lineage. Tonight, we're going to uncover how Kurt Barlow, the monster who devoured Salem's Lot, might trace his roots back to the oldest vampire legends in history, and how his arrival in Maine might have been centuries in the making. Salem's Lot looks like any small New England town, calm, quiet, and ordinary. But as Stephen King shows us, monsters love places that forget to believe in them. When writer Ben Mears returns to his hometown, he isn't looking for vampires. He's searching for inspiration to write about the Marsten House, a mansion that seems to breathe with his own dark memory. But as soon as a strange new man named Richard Straker buys that house, things start to rot from the inside out. A boy vanishes. A coffin-shaped crate arrives in the dead of night. And before anyone can say the word vampire, people start disappearing. The townsfolk call it sickness. King calls it denial. But soon the truth becomes too horrifying to ignore. The crate didn't hold antiques. It held Kurt Barlow. Barlow isn't your romantic, seductive Dracula. His face is pale and corpse-like, his fangs jagged and animalistic, his eyes empty. A walking plague. He's less a man and more a disease, spreading like rot through the town. This was Tobe Hooper's vision in the 1979 miniseries, to take the refined vampire myth and drag it back to its ancient roots, back to something feral. In folklore, vampires weren't charming or beautiful. They were corpses swollen with blood, clawing out of graves to feed. Hooper's version of Barlow is closer to those myths. Not the aristocrat in a cape, but the monster that inspired the stories in the first place. A reflection of the Nosferatu from 1922. Max Schreck's shadowy, rat-like creature that brought the vampire myth to silent cinema. Barlow is the evolution of that same nightmare. A reminder that before Dracula, there was something much worse. So where did the curse really come from? Stephen King once described Salem's Lot as Dracula set in modern America. But dig deeper, and you find roots stretching back far before Transylvania. In the 18th century Eastern Europe, stories of the Strigoi, restless, blood-drinking spirits, spread terror across villages. Bodies were dug up, stakes were driven through chests, and priests blessed entire graveyards to stop the dead from rising. These myths crossed oceans and centuries, eventually finding their way into New England lore. King grew up hearing those tales, and in Salem's Lot, he reimagined what would happen if that same old-world curse found its way into a modern town, a place that had forgotten its faith, its crosses, and its fear of the dark. Kurt Barlow isn't just a vampire. He's the past catching up to the present, a ghost of the old world invading the new, feeding on a town that no longer knows how to fight him. At the heart of the story are two hunters, one human, one not. Ben Mears, the writer chasing the ghosts of his childhood, and Kurt Barlow, the ancient evil that hunts in the shadows. When Barlow arrives, he doesn't need to hide behind charm or words. He has Strigoi, his human servant, to do his bidding. Together they're a mirror image of Dracula and Renfield. Strigoi is the obedient worshipper. Barlow is the silent god. One by one, the people of Salem's lot fall under their control. A young boy named Danny dies and rises again. A grave digger loses his soul under the moonlight. A mother wakes on a morgue table, hissing, hungry and lost forever. Each death spreads the infection. Each new vampire becomes part of Barlow's growing army. A web of darkness creeping through the town's foundations. Even after Barlow is destroyed, staked through the heart in the burning Marsten House, the evil doesn't end. Because the real monster wasn't just Barlow, it was what he left behind. The town itself becomes tainted. Fire can burn wood and flesh, but not sin, and not the curse that seeps into the soil. When we see Ben and Mark years later in Guatemala, they're still running, still hunted, still carrying holy water that glows whenever evil is near. That ending changes everything. It tells us the infection didn't die in Salem's lot. It spread. Here's where the real theory begins. What if Barlow wasn't the beginning, but the continuation of an older bloodline? Some fans believe Barlow may have been a descendant of Count Dracula himself, a surviving vampire from the Carpathian bloodline that fled Europe centuries ago. King even wrote a simple connection in his universe. In Salem's lot, the vampire's coffin is shipped across the sea, echoing Dracula's voyage to England. In the Dark Tower series, vampires from Salem's lot appear again, tying Barlow's species to a larger cosmic evil. That means Salem's lot isn't just an isolated story. It's the bridge between Gothic folklore and modern horror. Barlow may have come from the same lineage as the Strigoi, Nosferatu, or even Dracula himself, only darker, older, and far less human. When Ben and Mark stake Barlow in the cellar of the Marsten House, they think they've won. The ancient vampire turns to dust. The house burns. But as the flames spread, so does the infection, carried on the wind, whispered in the ashes. The town becomes a graveyard, a ghost story. And King leaves us with one chilling truth. Evil doesn't vanish. It just changes address. The survivors can run across oceans, fill bottles with holy water, and sleep with crosses under their pillows. But they'll never be free, because once the lot is touched, it never lets go. Salem's lot wasn't just about vampires. It was about belief. What happens when a whole town forgets how to believe in good, in evil, in anything beyond what they can see? Kurt Barlow is the punishment for that disbelief. A relic of the old world that thrives on modern blindness. And even today, his shadow hangs over every vampire story that came after, from Fright Night to 30 Days of Night to Midnight Mass. He wasn't the first vampire on screen, but he might have been the last one to truly scare us. If you thought Salem's Lot was terrifying, wait until you see where its bloodline leads next. Click the next video and discover what other movies was inspired by this classic.